Hi everyone, it's Ksenia coming to you from Artbeat Studio. I'm here to do a workshop with you today, working with words in our art, part 1 of 2. And for those who do not know or who are joining us for the first time, Artbeat Studio is proud to use art as a way to encourage our good mental health. And generally we offer in-person programming at our drop-in center, Studio Central. Due to current restrictions because of COVID-19. We're closed for in-person programming, but we are so excited to be bringing you these workshops online so you can follow along, you can go at your own pace, you can save them for later. But we hope that you get a sense of community and connection from these, as well as working on your own creative practice in whatever way suits you best. We know that doing art and any kind of creative activity can be really great for our mental wellness, so we hope that these workshops are a fun way for you to participate in that. Today's workshop is based on the work of artist Martin Wong, and one particular piece of his. When he first moved to New York City, he drew a sketch of the view from his hotel window featuring the Brooklyn Bridge and wrote his parents a letter in and amongst the sketch about his time there. So we are going to do a similar way of connecting our visual art with our words. In this image, we can see the letter that Martin wrote to his parents and how he's been wandering around in the hotel that he chose to stay in with a view of the Brooklyn Bridge. He also talks about joining the Museum of Modern Art down on the road portion of the drawing. Also, I joined the Museum of Modern Art, brackets MoMA, which seems to be like a drop-in center for out-of-town artists. So that's kind of lovely. But you can see in the style of this drawing that it's really full of character, but not super concerned with being photorealistic. Of course, you can do whatever kind of drawing is your favorite kind to do, but this is the vibe that we're going for with this workshop. A great thing about this art project is that it can be as simple or complicated as you would like. All you really need is something to write on and something to write with. So I've chosen to use cardstock just because it's a little more durable, and I've cut it into postcard size pieces as a sort of homage to the original letter writing. But you can use any kind of paper, and it can be as large or small as you would like. And for something to write with, I've chosen some fine-lined marker pen type things, but again, it can be as simple as a pencil or a ballpoint pen. The other thing, of course, that you need is some idea of your content, and you can have choices with this as well. Perhaps you want to use this as a sort of journaling prompt, so by drawing something that you see in front of you on your table or out your window every day. Maybe it's something to explore a memory that you might want to draw from a photograph, or of course your imagination as well. The image I'm starting with for this card is based on my view out the window of the Artbeat office. We're in Winnipeg's Exchange District, so there's a lot of brick around and some old-fashioned streetlights that I love that have this really beautiful glow once the sun goes down. So I wanted to start with that street lamp. I'm not being incredibly worried about how realistic it's going to turn out. I'm keeping this very loose and sketchy and free because that's what's working for me in this process. But you can take as much time as you would like on these and draw them in whatever style you feel suits the moment or suits what you want to be working on right now. Just adding some of those bare winter trees that we see around. Of course, we have to have some snow. It is winter in Winnipeg after all. want to hint at the brick buildings around us in the Exchange District. So I'm putting in a few bricks, but I don't want to worry about making them all exactly the same or filling in a whole space with bricks. So I'm just putting in enough that we know that that's the texture of the wall. And of course I've got to add the snow that's collecting on the branches and things too. Some of my branches to give a little bit more contrast with the blobby snow shapes I've put on top. You can leave everything open, or you can add shading or whatever you choose onto your own card. You'll maybe remember that Martin Wong didn't have any of his shapes filled in. It was all just sort of open lines. But I thought to really show sort of what I was drawing, I needed to go over and go back in and do that. Now it's time to start filling in the blank spaces in my drawing with words of different sizes and shapes. So, what I didn't realize while I was busily drawing away was that my computer decided to stop recording before I had finished drawing this card. So I will show it to you now, and we're going to do this a couple more times so you'll get to see the whole process. But when we add the lettering, we can go in any directions that we want. We can use different, fonts or styles. And then I just went back through and added a few extra little details to my drawing. The text I used is from a poem from my childhood that I really liked, and it sort of is stuck in my head at this time of year. So I just put the first few lines. In Winnipeg at Christmas, there's lots and lots of snow, very clean and crisp and hard and glittering like a Christmas card everywhere you go. And I just sort of placed it in and among the image where it made sense to me. And this is the final outcome of the first card based on a view out of a window. Now I'm going to draw an image based on a photograph that I have. Again, I'm enjoying using a loose and quick drawing style on these cards, but you can use whatever style you prefer the most. Now it's time to start adding the words. I've decided to use this as a postcard and write a letter to a friend of mine. I'm changing the orientation of the writing to fit the image as well as to fit what I'm writing about. Now that I've finished my message, I'm going in and adding more lines and details and filling in some areas. I wanted to leave them open before because I wasn't quite sure what I was using to write with, but now that I know I'm not putting any words in the trees, I'm going to fill them in a bit. always, the amount of detail you want to put in, or whether you want to fill anything in, bold some line weights, or make any changes at all is completely up to you and your own personal style. So this is an example of using this technique to do a little postcard to send to someone. And I used a photo for my inspiration of this. So it's a photo that I took when I visited the mountains in 2019. And there was this lovely sunset on the mountain with trees in front. So I did a simplified sketch of that. And I wrote a note to the friend who was working in the area at the time that I visited, so I got to visit her as well. And she lives in Alberta. So I just wrote, "Dear Rebecca, I miss mountains," and I changed the orientation of that text to the height of the mountains. And I said how nice it was to spend time with her there, and that hoping that things were going very well, and to thank her for being part of the workshop, even though she wasn't here at the time, but she was obviously a very vital part of making this card. Let's try one more drawing. This is my finished card with the journal theme, where I thought about the views I see when I take a walk after work, sort of just as the sun is setting and the street lights are coming on. So I wrote my text around the things that I was depicting, the bushes where people have hung little Christmas decorations, the street lights, and the sidewalk or road where I'm walking. And I've really been enjoying the beautiful sunsets that Winnipeg has been getting lately, so I wanted to actually bring some color in. And of course, there's nothing saying that you can't be doing your drawings in color as well, but but I thought I would keep this with the drawing in black and white and bring the color into the text about the glorious sunsets. And finally, I kept thinking about the sunsets, and I didn't film myself drawing this one, so it's not really a secret technique. I just used some lovely pastel highlighters that I have, and drew that sunset again that I was thinking of, and wrote the same text. We have been getting the most glorious sunsets lately, experimenting with how I wanted the style of writing to work. So again, you can take this idea of incorporating text into your drawings based on Martin Wong's letter, and you can run with it in any way that makes you happy. I hope that this has served as a good creative prompt for you about how you can use words and art together to journal or to remember some of your favorite quotations or poems, or to send a letter to somebody. There's no right or wrong way to do it, like so much of art. And the most important thing is just to do it and try and see what happens. Thanks so much for joining me.